Some people get intrigued about how I see the next step. I do not see anything. The nature tells me what to do. What I am an observer. I believe that the farther you want to go, the less things you have to take with yourself. That's what I do. I develop a technology, I profit from it, and then I go to the next one. And we leave that everybody else profit from that. My name is Leontino Balbo Jr. I'm an agronomist and an executive of Balbo Group in Brazil. Balbo Group is composed by 3 sugar mills, 2 in São Paulo state and another one in Minas Gerais state. Lots of changes were done until we changed totally the profile of our company and our business. We switched 20,000 of hectares of cane sugar plantation from conventional technology of production into the revitalizing agriculture. So this new type of agriculture presented so very good results that we ended up becoming the biggest supply of organic sugar in the world. We export to 64 countries and now also supplying neutral organic alcohol for cosmetic industry. My grandfather started working to the king of coffee, Mr. Schmidt, in 110 years ago. And he had 12 children, which also worked for the German boss. Since the beginning, they were used to face the soil and farm challenges, which made all things easier for me. So when I arrived here, I started working as an agronomist. So in the second week, I couldn't, accept the cane burning, all those things. So why to burn the cane, to cut by hand, drop it in the soil, to dirty it, and then to take it to the mill where we used to need 4 million liters of water per hour to wash that cane. If we would harvest that cane green, we wouldn't need that much water. Something inside said we should find a cleaner way of producing. And so I proposed then a project called Green Cane Project, aiming to improve the production way, to take the cane to manifest its ecological potential. We are going to lower the environmental impact of the production, while in the same time, we are going to lose the cost of production. It worked so well that this mill was the first to harvest green cane in Brazil, and then our example was followed by 90% of the cane growers in Brazil. Deep transformation, I think, is easier to happen in family business than in other kind of companies. So the next, after green cane harvesting, I decided to abolish the chemical fertilizers. And then I decided to abolish the pesticides. I didn't know how to do, and I was a little confused, and I decided to go inside a forest to relax my mind. I made myself open to the nature wisdom, and suddenly I started seeing inside the forest like an infographic. Everything happening, the birds, the insects, and that everything was interconnected. And there was a very sophisticated system of communication. And I realized that all those insects were not attacking any plant inside the forest. But the same insects used to attack the canes. So why? So I started observing what used to happen inside that forest. And one by one, example by example I learned, I started transferring to the agricultural area. There are lots of useful information in the nature that we can use to create the basis of a new production system, which is less impactant, which is more rational and more efficient. We can observe that these are totally healthy leaves And the reason is the focus here. We do not put focus too much on the crop. The focus is in the environment as a whole, in the ecosystem as a whole. The result of that is the ecosystem itself takes care about the crop. We don't fertilize the crop. We feed the soil life. And then they take care about the cane, about its nutrition, its immunologic system. And we don't have one eaten part, one bite, nothing, no disease in our cane. 20,000 hectares. Ecosystem revitalizing agriculture is an agriculture which at the same time provide all conditions for the crop growth with no problems with plagues, diseases, but at the same time providing to the environment the most important environmental services like preserving the water, improving and keeping soil fertility, bringing back the fauna biodiversity, and absorbing carbon from other activities of the economy. One of the most interesting results of the application of the revitalizing agriculture is the radical change of the soil structure. It was recovered in such good level, high level, that the soils are even reaching a soil fertility class higher than there were before man started disturbing the environment. This is a structure, naturally structure-rich soil, and it retains 4 times more water than a conventional soil, in a way that we produce 20% more of the conventional production without any irrigation. And the best thing is this soil helps the water life cycle. These soils, they had capacity of infiltrating and storing water in 6 times, in a way that the water is enough for the crop to evaporate and then to be transferred to the clouds, and also to supply the aquifer. So some measures show it that the fresh water here in the farms, streams, rivers increased in 30%. Besides becoming more fertile and providing better yields, much better yields, the soil was rebuilt by the activity of fungus, bacteria, hundreds of different species of insects, and it now presents a resilience. Recently, researchers discovered that the fungus act as a natural internet in the soils. They are translators of the different way of communication among vegetables, bacteria, insects, and so on. "90% of the machinery didn't fit in what we are doing. So we started studying what were the soil demands. Then we started customizing here in our workshop with our mechanics, electricians, equipments like tillers, like side beam tips, the harvester. In order to guarantee that this soil is biodiversity friendly, so our harvesters are equipped with metal trucks, which pressure over the soil is 9 psi. In the same way, those trucks, they are equipped with ultra high flotation tires, which use about 20 psi of pressure. So this guarantees the soil is not going to be compacted, and that under the stress, there will be enough comfort level for all life forms, which promotes the soil rebuilding. While the machine harvests the cane, it spreads 20 tons of trash over the field, 20 tons of trash per hectare per year. And this trash provides soil comfort for the life forms, which reconstructs the soil. The production model is pretty much closed, circular. We harvest the cane, take the cane to the mill, where the cane is processed. Then we have the production of alcohol, sugar, and so on, electricity. And then we take back all the organic waste products. We take back to the field. And we use them to feed the life forms. So in a way that we have a closed cycle and nothing is lost. Here we can see another important stage of the management. We are seeing vinases application. Vinases is a very, very important organic fertilizer. And we use the vinases, which is rich in organic matter, nutrients, to boost the soil life forms activity. So here we integrate sophisticated harvesting technology with natural practices. This is the modern concept of modernity for me, not the opposite. So we don't have to have everything artificial, synthetic, or electronic. Our environment, production environment, became a lot more resilient. The weather has been much more unpredictable compared to what it used to be before. But now we can get more tons of cane per millimeter of rain. So comparing to 30 years ago, we more than doubled. And compared to 10 years ago, this efficiency increased in 15%. One of the main concerns when we started was how are we going to measure the results? And then I went after idonous institutions like Embrapa, University of São Paulo, University of Campinas, and I looked for people specialized in soil fertility, fauna biodiversity, water resources, and atmosphere, CO2 release, and so on. We have lots of publication studies regarding how the soil fertility evolved here, how biodiversity evolved here, and so on. Just as an example, after a whole year of organic production, besides compensating all our releases, we extracted 45,000 tons of CO2 from other activities of the economy. So we are not just carbon neutral, we are carbon sink. We do not analyze water and soil anymore because the ecologists taught me that the best way of really comparing the results is using biological indicators. For instance, we have some insects and some animals here that are extremely demanding in terms of environment comfort. We have 340 species of superior vertebrates, mammals, birds, reptiles, and amphibians, which means more than 50% of what the natural parks in São Paulo state have. And this is an astonishing news because it's breaking a scientific paradigm that monoculture is bad for biodiversity. What is bad for biodiversity is the management, the way you do, not what you plant. The soil change was not the last thing which happened here, it was the first. But one of the last things was how the soil change and this different agriculture method impacted the business model. Since the first day, 19 years ago, when we started selling our products certified, we never have a loss. So there were profits every year, because the price is constructed over the basis of the sustainability. So in order to give prices, we consider how much costs the social, the environmental, and the economic aspects of this business. This is a total different relationship among all the actors which participate in the value chain, since from the grower until the industrial food manufacturer. Because in conventional food chains, what happens is the gross margin remain 90% of the gross margin with that actor which keeps the key resource of the food chain. Sometimes it's logistic, sometimes it's the financial, the capital, sometimes is the, you know, the clients, and so on. But in sustainable food chain or value chain, this margin is more equitably distributed along the chain because this connection happens. Surely we can apply instantly in 9 million hectares of sugarcane, but the same principles can be applied to other crops, orchards, planted forests, and so on. The system has not a recipe like in the convention. There's a pack you must use, you know. You can do it in thousands of different ways because you are talking about natural principles. If you go in the nature, you are going to see thousands of different ways of reaching the same objectives, vegetable and animal production. I think the biggest difficulty is not teaching people how to do own operation, the chains and so on. I think that the challenge is how to change people's mind, you know, because the man emancipated himself from the nature rhythms. So we lost a big important part of ourselves, which is the capacity of perceiving ourselves in the environment. The nature is taking us the lessons we didn't have before, and we must learn very quickly that there is an intelligence coordinating what happens in the nature. We have to take all people, no matter if they are organic producers, conventional producers, to take them to have a more systemic vision of the whole, of the farm, of the business, and especially about the whole of the human being in this planet. My long-term vision for this production method considers a conscious expansion. So what we did in 20,000 hectares is just the tip of the iceberg. So I foresee that we can, for instance, take back sewage, garbage from the big cities to the agriculture ecosystem. And in the same way we did here, we can feed the life of the soil with all the waste products of the cities, closing the cycle, turning it circular. I foresee a wide range of application because since it's based on a principle, we can find thousands of different ways of getting the same results.